You know, both Ben Hogan and Mike Austin had really beautiful, mechanically sound golf swings. But there were some fundamental, notable differences, like the release, for example. So right after this, let's take an in-depth look, kind of a compare and contrast of the Hogan release versus the Austin release. Which one you might choose. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. So Ben Hogan was known mostly for his flatter swing plane and his piston-like consistency. Mike Austin was known for hitting it very high and long with the ability to work the ball both ways. Now, these styles require subtly different techniques. Let's take a look at some of the details. All right, up on the screen, you've got a couple really cool angles. I've never seen this angle of Ben Hogan's swing before, quite this close up, but it gives you a fantastic view at what he's doing with the hands and the elbow, the hand path through the impact zone. I want you to notice on the right, I've got one of my swings doing a really good example of an Austin release. I want you to look at the elbow. So I'll run through this back and forth a couple times. You'll be able to see it's quite a clear difference in when the elbow fully extends. In my case, it's extending much earlier. I will be fully extended about 30 inches past the ball. Hogan was still bent with his elbow 30 inches past the ball, and he was probably more like a foot or two later that his elbow straightened. So the elbow is straightening later, so it's bent more at impact. Then you can see in the wrist that my wrist is straightening out sooner, and I will catch up with the club head about even with the left arm. Well, Hogan, he's catching up later. He's starting into his throw motion just subtly later. Also, you would see that my release rehinges after impact much more freely and much sooner. Hogan is not as free. He tends to more slightly impede the progress of the club head after impact, and this can explain subtle differences in the way the ball is going to be struck. Notice that both swings have beautifully shallowed in the slot. The body is maintaining its posture about the same, and both golfers, myself and Hogan, the handle path is arcing around the body properly. So a lot of similarities here, but a few primary differences in the release. Now let's take a closer look at where the rubber meets the road, exactly how the ball will be struck differently with each of these two styles. In the Hogan swing, since the right wrist is staying pinned back in extension slightly longer, and the right elbow is straightening later, you would tend to get more forward lean at the moment of impact, thereby subtly de-lofting the club. This would make the shots tend to be lower flighted than with the Austin technique. Now, right after impact, since the club is going to be catching up with the left arm a bit later, and with Hogan's weak grip, the club face exits left, and the toe certainly never turns over, and it's a little bit impeded. In other words, you never saw Ben Hogan look like this post-impact. He would kind of look more like he was holding on just a little bit. The little bit of tightness here in the wrists to prevent them from naturally penduluming the club head through. Between Hogan's weaker grip and this action, a later starting release and more of an impeded, slightly held on wrist action, Hogan would almost never miss the ball left. So, a little more forward lean, starting the release later, putting a little bit of impedance into the release, not letting it go this way, but keeping it more this way longer, combined with a weaker grip, will certainly prevent you from unwanted hooks. Now, let's take a look at the Austin release that you saw in my swing earlier. There's some very notable differences. Now, because I am throwing the club a bit closer to the top of the swing and straightening the elbow out a bit sooner, it's going to bring me into impact with a bit less forward lean, presenting more dynamic loft to the ball and making the ball launch higher. Afterwards, you'll see my elbow will arrive at a fully extended position, 30 inches past the ball, and there is no impedance to the wrist action. In other words, the throw of the club is 100% free about the wrists, but in such a fashion that the toe still never crosses over closed to the arc. Like this, not like this, but around the arc, club face staying square to the arc, just like that. Now this would result in higher lofted shots, more club head speed for more distance, and the ability to be versatile with your ball flight. Since your ball flight is not biased towards a fade or a draw, but biased straight when done correctly, you can be versatile in hitting the ball right to left or left to right, simply with just small, very subtle adjustments to the wrist action through impact, while still releasing it fully and freely. So you'd be a fade, releasing free with the club face a little bit open to the arc. Draw would be club face turns a little bit toe over while still releasing free. This way you can hit a fade just as long as the next guy is hitting his draw. Now, which would be the style for you? Well, it depends on what you're looking for out of the flight of your golf ball, but also how much you want to practice. In my opinion, it's easier for the more casual or average golfer to simply throw the club without impedance. It is my opinion that the Hogan swing will take more careful, thoughtful practice to learn how to time that slightly impeded, slightly late release and square it up enough to where you only get that baby fade out of it. It's a beautiful shot to play and certainly will get you around a lot of different tight golf courses with a lot of hazards and penalties and trees, but I believe it will simply take a hell of a lot more work to emulate that style compared to the Austin style. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the comparison of these two all-time great golf swings. Hit me up in the comments with your opinion on the Hogan and Austin swings and releases. Hit like if you liked the video, and I hope that I've earned a subscribe so you can see all my upcoming videos. I'm Steve, thanks so much for watching, and if I don't see you in the next video, I hope I see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.